Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a speed reviews video. If you've been here before, then you know they probably won't be so speedy. I'm more of an in-depth girly. If you want to know the ins and outs of these products, this will be for you. Something new that I'm going to be testing out in this video is including whatever makeup empties I have at the end of this video and giving my thoughts on those as well. Instead of doing like a whole empties video, I'm gonna just tag them along here because in my last empties video, I kind of asked for some feedback, what your guys' thoughts were, you know, how much do you even watch empties? And a lot of you were like, you know, I'm kind of just here for the makeup. So that's great. Thank you for the feedback. I'm gonna include my thoughts on the empty makeup items at the end of these and we'll see how that goes. Let me know if you like it. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe before you leave. And if you like this video, hit the thumbs up button. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump on in. All right, I'm not gonna be doing these in any particular order. I'm kind of just gonna grab what's on the top and go from there. First product is the Dominique Cosmetics palette. This one is the Essentials palette. It came in a recent Ipsy subscription. The packaging is very weighted. It's plastic, but it's like that thick, durable plastic. So I love that. It feels like very quality. It comes with a literal gigantic mirror that is very nice. And then you get 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 shades. I just think honestly the packaging is so beautiful and the presentation is literally so aesthetically pleasing. This like beautiful neutral palette, if that's what you love and you don't have a lot of neutrals, I could definitely see you enjoying this. I do want to talk about some of the formulations, and for the record, I don't think that this palette is bad by any means, right? We all just have different preferences when it comes to our makeup, and that's fine. So I want to talk about my experience, and hopefully that'll give you, you know, the detail on whether this would be a good fit for you or not. So the shimmers, they are pretty. I'll swatch a couple of them. They are pretty, right? But like compared to other things I have in my collection, they're nothing special, I would say. They are nice, they are pretty, they are more on the subtle side, I would say. The only thing that was weird is this Affirmation shade here. It almost like already has hard pan, and I'm not sure why that is. It was just like really difficult to pick up. So I thought that was kind of weird. The Positivity shade here, this matte, if you are a girly that always sets your lid down with like a more translucent or skin tone shade, this is an incredible shade for that. And if you don't set it down, then you're probably thinking, what's the difference? But if you do set down, then you know, like, there is a difference between a good setting shade and a not great setting shade. This is a good setting shade. Good. The other shadow I wanted to talk about is this Mi Amo shade. This is like the most gorgeous mauve tone of pink. If you want to see the look I did with it, make sure you guys are following me over on IG because I have already posted this palette and I attached 3 looks to it as well. So if you're looking for some inspo with it, I have those looks over there. In terms of the mattes, blendability was there, really easy to work with. I didn't have any issues. I had no issues with creasing or like fallout throughout the day. Everything held up fairly well. The other formula I wanted to talk about was the matte black down here. I feel like everyone's black preferences are across the board. It is so different, right? This black is more of a sheer black. I would say that it is really nice for that kind of blown out smoky look. It's not good for like a packed down liner moment or a deep crease moment or outer corner. I feel like it performs best when used as like smoked out. So I did want to mention that. But overall, I think that a lot of people would like this palette, and I've seen a ton of people loving this palette over on IG. I just think for me, I have a lot better products, so it's not something that would get a lot of love in my collection. So, I mean, I think that if this suits your preferences, I would recommend it. The formulas are really good. Next up, we have a newer launch. It is the Kaja Beauty, what are these? I keep forgetting. The Dewy Bar. I got this in PR through Skeepers, and I have the shade Grapefruit Gelato, and I'm gonna insert a swatch of it over here. But this is like the packaging. You pop it off. It reminds me of like a little mini deodorant. To like roll up the product as needed, you just flip it like this, which is really neat. It feels like very sturdy, and it's like flipping. And then to use it, what I do is I just take a dense brush and I coat the top of it, and then I go in on my cheeks that way. I am fully obsessed with this. I'm gonna level with you guys. I think it might be my new favorite cream blush formula. This applies so easily to my skin with the brush. It goes on evenly, it blends out well. It has pigmentation, but it's not overly pigmented to the point where you're like, oh my God, like this could literally mess up my entire makeup look. So it brings that great vibrant pigmentation. It gives you a gorgeous dewy finish. So if you don't like some glow, then if you like a matte blush, you probably won't like this. But it gives you the most like dewy, fresh, juicy glow, but it's not sticky. So your like hair is not going to be getting stuck to your cheek or anything like that. It also applies really well over powder, which I thought was interesting. I was not expecting that, but it applies well when you're doing all your creams. It applies well over powder, and it is long lasting. And when I say long lasting, you guys, I had this on for 13 hours. And when I got home, it quite literally still looked freshly applied. I was so impressed. Like my jaw was like, wow, that is the kind of staying power that I want in a product. I have 3 more on my wish list. I mean, I would love to have them all, but I can't buy that many items. But this is so good. I think if you like a dewy blush, long lasting, you're into cream formulation, I highly recommend that you guys try this, because I think that you're just gonna be wowed. Like, I think your socks are gonna be blown the fuck off. I'm literally obsessed with it. Like I said, this I think is my new favorite cream blush formula. Next up, we have another product that was gifted via Ipsy, and this is the TYS Beauty Shea Butter Lip Gloss. And I just thought this packaging was kind of fun, kind of different. The applicator is nice, like your typical gloss. I find the stopper is good. It doesn't get messy. This is like it's like a light pink that enhances your natural lip color. It's not a light pink that those ones that just set on the top and look like you almost have like a white cast or something on your lips. Like, those kind of sheer baby pinks. This isn't like that. It more so enhances my natural lip color, and it is very hydrating, which I love. It's hydrating and it's glossy. It was an unexpected win in the Ipsy box. I've never heard of this TYS Beauty, and sometimes I'm a little more hesitant to try brands that I've heard quite literally nothing about. But I'm glad that I decided to give this one a go, because I think that it's a great gloss, very hydrating, very juicy. Definitely one that I will hang on to and continue to use. The next product I have is a liner, and this is from Smashbox. It's the Always Sharp Waterproof Kohl Liner. I have been trying this for a while now, and I mostly wear it in my waterline. That's like the kind of makeup that I do. I put black in my waterline and my tight line. This is a really nice product for that. It also did a pretty nice job smudging out on the outer corners if I wanted to wear a little bit for that. I still think my Huda Creamy Kohl Liner is more long wearing, so I prefer that. But I think the packaging on this is nicer, more heavy duty, feels a little bit more luxury. But yeah, I think that this does what I want a black liner to do. It stays in my waterline. So do I necessarily think it's like the best one I've ever tried? No, I think that's a Huda Creamy Kohl, but I think that this is a good one if you are looking for one. Next up, I finally have my thoughts on the Victoria Beckham Lid Lustre. I got the shade Honey, and this is what the packaging looks like, which I appreciate. The experience feels luxurious. That is one of my biggest pet peeves, is when you're paying a luxury price point for an item and it feels cheap. That immediately makes me want to hate the product. This thankfully does not give that. It is very weighted and it screams luxury. So I can really appreciate that. This is what the shade looks like in the pan. And then I'm gonna just swatch it for you guys a little bit. You can tell I've been using it. We're getting like a baby dip there. That's what it looks like in the swatch. And I feel like the swatch doesn't quite do it justice. I'll probably insert, I think I still have on hand a couple photos, and I'll insert them over here. But I initially was really unsure how I would feel about this, and I had seen a lot of mixed reviews. I will say this does apply very easily. I use a brush to apply it, right? A lot of people will dip in with their finger. I don't do that just because like I never really do that with shimmers. And if you have longer nails, like that is hard to do. So I do it with a brush and it applies beautifully with the brush. I don't have any issues application wise doing it that way. I also have zero issues with creasing. This holds up very well all day. I'm a 12 to 13 hour a day girly when it comes to my makeup. So I love that. This also, like in the swatch, it looks more like metallic-y, and that it was what I was initially worried about, that this was gonna be more metallic and not so much sparkly or shiny. However, when you get out into like natural lighting or sun lighting, the sparkles in this are gorgeous. I don't know, it's just a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Luxurious, sophisticated experience in my opinion, and I love it. I was trying to decide, I wish I had my Hourglass Scattered Lights still on hand so I could compare them, because I feel like the Hourglass Scattered Lights looks more sparkly. Like I feel like the sparkles show up better in, you know, more natural lighting, whereas this, you don't get as much sparkle in the natural lighting. You really need that sunlight or brighter light to bring out the sparkle in it, but it is very sparkly. So that's why I was initially like, I don't know, and then I saw it in the sunlight and I was like, oh wow, she is pretty. Okay. So I think that was like initially what my kind of about it was, but very pretty. I definitely would consider picking up more. I'm not allowed to buy any more singles in 2024. Unfortunately, they just don't get like the most use in my collection. So I'm not someone you'll see buying a lot of singles, but this one is really nice and beautiful, and I've enjoyed taking it with me when I travel. And I would recommend this if it sounds like something that is your preference. You like singles, you like sparkles. This is gorgeous, very easy to work with, and very high quality product. The next item is from Wander Beauty, and we got this in an Ipsy. This is the Trailblazer eyeshadow palette, and let me tell you, I did not have a lot of hope for this at all. The color story is beautiful, like hands down gorgeous, but I have gotten a palette similar to this, like packaging wise, an empty before, and then I also got like a face palette that had some shadows and then some blush and a contour in it. And previously my experience with Wander Beauty shadows was like they were very light in pigmentation, very difficult to build up, and the mattes that were deep in coloration were often patchy. So I had decluttered those like easily, which made me almost immediately get rid of this and not even try it. What really just sucked me in was the way that these shimmers look and the green, because that's like, I don't have a lot of greens in my collection. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try it out for the green, and if I like it, we'll try out the rest. If I don't, then we'll know it needs to go. But I have been thoroughly impressed by this. I don't know if they redid their formula or what, but it has definitely improved since the last time I played with Wander Beauty eyeshadows. The mattes are pigmented to house, very blendable. I've had no issues with patchiness or lack of pigmentation, which was very important, especially with like, you know, these deeper shades. And then the shimmers are just, oh my Lord, you guys. Like these, I cannot, like, I don't know why I skipped this finger, oh well. But they are so pretty, you guys. They are so sparkly and pigmented. Like, oh my gosh, they literally, they steal the show. Like, to be honest with you, they steal the show. I love them. They are long wear, they don't crease, they're very sparkly. They are an attention getter. I love them. The only thing that I don't like about this palette is how much of the pigment sticks to the little magnets right there. That quite literally has been driving me nuts, but I don't know a way to like mitigate that problem. You know what I'm saying? But yes, I thought that this was beautiful. If you can get your hands on it, highly recommend it. Or if you got it in Ipsy and you're unsure if you want to try it, I would recommend trying it. There has been, in my opinion, a significant improvement in the formulations in here. They're good. They're good and they are beautiful. They look so great on the eye. Next up, I have a mascara. This one is from Smashbox Cosmetics. This is called the Super Fan Fanned Out Mascara. And I think that description is like extremely accurate. Here's what the brush looks like. You can see it there. And I actually have found myself liking this. I'm very, my lash preference is I need a curl, I want a little bit of length, and then I want a lot of volume to the point of where they're a little clumpy. That's what I like. This doesn't do that, but it does lengthen. Like, it heavily fans my lashes out and preps them to go in with like my Bite Beauty mascara and build up the volume and the clump. It prepares them so nicely for that. So I think if you're someone who likes a very like, this isn't one of those like, it doesn't make your lashes look natural, but it really just enhances what's already there. It separates them nicely, but they don't look spidery. And it holds a curl really nicely, and it gives you that length. This is a gorgeous mascara, and I think like based on the preferences of a lot of my friends in the IG community, a lot of you would actually really like this. It doesn't quite give me the volume that I want, but it does so many of the other things really well. I've been impressed with it. I have also loved layering it because this, I don't think it's a tubing formulation, but it does come off a lot easier than my Bite one. So when I layer them, it helps it come off a lot easier, which is nice. But yeah, I think if those things meet like what you're looking for in a mascara, I would recommend this one. It's really nice. The next product is actually a mini that I got in an offer from Sephora. So that's why it's so tiny. It is one of the little Valentino lipsticks. So I'm not gonna like judge the packaging off of this mini because I'm sure slash hope the packaging on the full sizes is a lot better. I was able to snag the shade 100R. It is, I'm gonna swatch it for you guys. Right there. It is the most beautiful, cool toned, pink plummy shade. This is like literally, these are probably my two favorite lipsticks in my collection right now. My Prada one in the shade beige, and then this one from Valentino in the shade 100R. This shade is just so flattering on my skin tone. If you're looking something that's cool and remains cool on the lips with a pink plummy tone, I think you would absolutely love this. The finish is like, it leans satin, but it's not super satiny, glossy on the lips to the point where it's like emphasizing any texture or anything like that. It is very comfortable. It is long wearing actually. Like, it's not transfer proof or anything like that, but like if you put it on in the morning and you're just drinking stuff out of a straw, like you're not gonna have to reapply this until after you eat your lunch. It just stays on the lips really well and holds the pigmentation. This definitely has made me very curious to try other shades in the line. But yeah, I highly recommend this little guy. It's nice. Next up, and the last lip product, is the Milani Fruit Fetish lip oil. I got the shade Lechee, and this is like a more recent release for them in terms of they expanded the lip fetish line a little bit, and they added some shades that contain a little bit more pigment. That's what it is over there. And that's what it is, a little bit more pigment. It's still a wash of color. It's something that I like to use when I know I'll be like reapplying a lip oil all day. I reach for this one because it gives me just a little bit of color, which I really like, but I still find that it contains the properties that I love about the original Fruit Fetish line, and that is very hydrating, makes the lips look juicy. It still does those things with an enhanced tint. So if you spot a color you like, I would snag it. So far, I have yet to try anything in this lip oil line that I have not liked. The products are good. All right, next up we have another blush, and it is the Vision Flush from Danessa Myrix. If you've watched my project panning videos, you know I'm working on this sample card and I'm not done with it. I've only finished the shade, what was it, Bread and Butter, and then I am working on one of the other shades. I'm working on the shade Tutu, which is this really bright pink. And these samples are huge. They might not look huge, but the littlest product goes the longest way. So I'm averaging about 8 uses per sample. That is a lot. If you do the math, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. What's 4 times 8, guys? 24. That is 20, at minimum, 24 uses to finish the blushes in this sample card. That's a lot. And I also have a bronzer and a highlight here, but we're not talking about that. The blushes though, really, really nice. Like I mentioned, it takes the littlest bit, which is something that I am kind of picky about because I don't like things that I have to be extremely careful with. But I think that having the actual tube would help mitigate this issue. Like, I think if I had the actual tube and just took one dot on each side, I think it would be fine. But essentially, like, it blends out really well, very easily. And even if you get too much, which I have done, it was very easy to fix, which I think is a really big factor in a product like this. Because when I used the Rare Beauty ones and I got too much, it pretty much, my makeup was done for and I had to start over. With this, I was able to mitigate the situation and make it so that it was wearable and still looked nice, which was really big in my opinion. But yes, blends out very nicely. You have a really long staying power with these. There's tons of different shades. My favorite shade actually is this bright pink tutu shade. I think because it's the perfect tone of hot pink, because usually I do not like that tone on myself, but that tone is just perfect. It looks gorgeous on me. But yes, formula, check. Lasting power, check. Blendability, check. It looks very lightweight, thin on the skin. It just looks good. I have added a couple of these to my wish list now. I think the one that I would get first though would be Tutu, just because it's so different from my collection and really just stand out, and I love it. But yeah, so I am loving the Vision Flushes, the cheek tints or the blush. Like those have been really, really great so far. And obviously I'm wanting to pick some up, so it is a product that I would recommend if you find a shade that you are into. All right, next up, we have the Ace Beauty Mystic Romance Palette. I have uploaded a Get Ready With Me using this, and I also uploaded a short using this as well. But I don't think I got into like my full thoughts on it over here. This is what the inside looks like, and we got this in an Ipsy, I think it was February. I was hesitant to try this because Ace Beauty has been in the past known for a very inconsistent formula. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's a train wreck. So I was like, oh, but this color story is what drew me in. I was like, oh my God, this is beautiful. So I gave her a go, and it is so stinking nice. The mattes blend out so well. They pack a ton of pigment, which I think is like really important that they blend out well, because they do pack so much pigment, which makes it better for all skin tones, which I love. You can get a lot of payoff from these mattes. My actual favorite look ended up being with like the red here, which I do want to know, this red shade is gonna stain your lids. So if that's not something you like, stay away from that. It's the only color that I had a staining issue with, but it does stain. The mattes blend out nice, like I said. The shimmers are very sparkly. They are like foiled, especially like these ones right here. They're stunning, and they just look so like bright on the lid. It's like, bam, wow, look at me. These are very pretty. I don't know if the formulation in here is like what you're gonna see in every Ace palette, but the formula in here is a good formula, which I did hear that they like reformulated and stuff. So hopefully now we'll be seeing like more consistent formulations from them. Fingers crossed that we will see that more often. But yeah, I really like this one. I was pleasantly surprised. I think if this color story catches your eye, I would recommend it. Obviously, it is a more deep palette, so you're going to be able to get a lot of very like grungy, yummy looks out of it, which I think are like perfect for fall. I also loved this for Valentine's Day because you get all those pinks and purples and whatnot, but also like you get this really nice line of neutrals here where you could create like a stunning smoky eye. So yeah, pleasantly surprised. Really loved that one. And then the last product before we get to the empties is the Danessa Myrix Groundwork palette. And I want to encourage you, get a coffee, get a drink, settle down, because I have thoughts on this and they're gonna take me a minute to get through. So firstly, I would like to say thank you to my best friend Steph. She actually gifted me this, so I am grateful, and I'm so glad I was able to try out the formula because I had so much hype. I will say the packaging is very beautiful. I absolutely love this. This right here is like metal, so it does all feel very luxe, very heavy, very high-end. I'm obsessed with that. Now we get into the inside. You get a nice big heavy duty mirror here, which I also think is important and I want to point out. And then we get to the inside, and this is what mine looks like. It looks like I've used it a lot more than I have. I would have to go back and look at my tracker, but I've used this approximately 10 times as a whole. And as you can see, I have 4 pans, and I want to talk about that. So the pomades, I believe they're being marketed a little bit more, they're being marketed more accurately now with the launch of the second palette. I don't feel like they were super accurately marketed when this launched. And keep in mind, this is my experience. I know a lot of people love this palette. I am not one of them. Reason being, these pomades take quite literally forever to build up. And I can appreciate like a shadow that is very buildable, that makes it more, you know, user-friendly, beginner-friendly. I don't mind building my shadow up a little bit, but this was taking an obnoxious amount of time to build up if I wanted to see any kind of color payoff or pigmentation at all. Especially with like these lighter shades here. These didn't take as much building up, but they still did require quite a bit of build up. Like it was to the point where I'm like, oh my fucking God, I'm still dipping in and getting more because I'm like, there's nothing on my eyes. And as you can tell, I'm fair light skin tone. So these just took forever to build up. My next complaint about the pomades is that they take forever to build up. 2, the texture of them is so putty-like and movable, as you can see, that it very easily, you know, created some pans within the palette because it was taking me a lot to get these to where I wanted them, but also the formula is so movable, what's the word I'm looking for? Mobile, that it was very easy and I really didn't have to like try or dig or work hard to get those. They really just kind of came to me. So it's like that. And then like my biggest complaint I think with the pomades is they crease so bad. On my eyelids, I cannot wear just the pomades at all. I cannot do it. Within 3 hours, I have big creases all over my eyelids, and I'll attach a photo here to show you guys. But that was after like 3 hours of wear. I was like, oh, cute. Okay. Love that for me. I tried them just pomades, and then I tried them with like pomade and then set with the powder and then put pomades over the top. Still gave me the creasing issue. So the pomades like were just not it for me. No matter what I was doing with them on my lids, they would crease. Even if I went in with like I'm trying to remember what shade I did it with specifically. It was one of these 2 shades where I went in all over the lid with the pomade and then I set it down with the powder beside it. And I didn't experience as much creasing, but I still did have minimal creasing. I felt like the best thing about this palette was the powders. If I used the powders, they did really well. They blended like any other normal powder I would use. They held pigmentation, they didn't crease. It was just when I used the pomades that it was not doing it for me. I will say this black here also is not like the most pigmented, deep, dark black. It was one of those that I think would be a little bit better for like smoking just because like the tone of it is not as dark as I would like. Like I want a black fucking black. And this just like wasn't quite getting there. I also wanted to know as well, if you are someone who, Tito hair, if you are someone that sets your eye down typically, you know, after a primer, and you do that with like more of a skin tone shade, I was doing it with this shade here, and the formula is like, it's too thin in my opinion. So like it wasn't setting down my lid really well, or giving me what I wanted. It's like it was kind of just like fighting with the pomade a little bit, and sometimes I would get like some balling up and it would look a little bit more textured. So it just like wasn't playing well. I think the formula was too thin to use it as just like a sheer set before I go in with the rest. So that really wasn't working for me. I found the best way that I liked this was just using powders on like the outer corner, or the transition, and then I would go in with my Victoria Beckham lid luster, and I would put that all over the lid to ensure like there wasn't creasing, or you couldn't see creasing. I think that, you know, obviously this works for a lot of people. A lot of people like it. I was hoping I would be one of those. Like I wanted to be like this to be the perfect travel palette, that I could just take this and my lid luster and that would be it. Like that was like the goal. But this really just did not perform how I wanted it to. I think the biggest issue was the pomades. I just could not get them to work for me in a way that was convenient. And like, I don't know, I spend quite a bit of time doing my makeup in the morning. So to add additional time to set down every single pomade with a powder, like, why do I need to take that additional step when I could just use a powder and it would look fine? Because the thing about setting the pomades with the powder is that it didn't always look nice. I used, I think it was this shade to set over, like this shade here to set over this pomade, and it was like grabbing only to certain areas, so it didn't look like I had a really even, flawless blend. It just is too finicky. There's too many things that I don't like, and I don't want to spend 5 hours building up pigment in my shadows. I don't want to be worried about creasing every time I use it. It just was a really big miss, unfortunately. And I'm not gonna hang on to it just for the powders, because to be frank with you, I have better powders in my collection. Like the powders are fine, but I have better ones, so I'm not gonna keep it for that. I just had high hopes for like what I thought this would be, and I think that it's not it. I think that like if you are a professional makeup artist, I feel like it has more of a place potentially. But I don't know, man, just my experience with the pomades and how the pomades and the powders play together, like it was just too much work when I could create something much prettier and well executed with something else. It's just, yeah, it just was a really big flop, unfortunately, for me. So yeah, as you might have guessed, this won't be staying in my collection. But yeah, it's kind of really just disappointing, but it'd be like that sometimes. Now I'm gonna hop into, I have, like I mentioned, just a few empties. I have 4 empties right now, so I'm gonna just chat with those really quickly with you guys. The first empty is the Dior Lip Glow Oil. I finally did it. I don't know if my project painting video will be up before or after this, so it could be a spoiler, but I finally fucking did it. Fuck this oil. Like, the product, the oil product itself, like, wasn't bad. There was nothing wrong with it. I think it's not $40 good. I would recommend the Milani one over it any day. My biggest gripe is this packaging. Does it look cute? Yeah. Leaks everywhere. Drives me insane. Like, you guys, literally, this product doesn't even travel with me. I had it sitting up flat like this on my desk, and it still found a way to leak all around the outside. And I don't understand why, and I hate it because it's a lip oil. So stuff like fuzz or hairs or whatever stick to it. It gets gooey, messy, ugh, hate it. So I'm so fucking glad this is gone, and I would not recommend it. The next product is my e.l.f. Instant Brow Lift Pencil. This is a holy grail for me. This one is just like the regular one. They have like a ultra precise one, but I heard that one breaks pretty easily. This is just the normal one. I've literally emptied an obscene amount of these. I continuously repurchase them. I have it in my brows today. It's what I always use. Highly recommend it. It's like $3. I had another lip empty. It's the Tarte Maracuja Juicy Lip. This one's in the shade Rose. It's the original formulation. They have like a bajillion different variations now, but this is the original one. And I love this tone. It's very like my lips, but better. And these are juicy. Like, they make my lips look very juicy, very plump, very shiny. I really like them. I also think they have like hydrating properties as well. So yeah, I love these and I would recommend them. This is, I think, the third one I've emptied. I emptied another shade of Rose, and then I also emptied another color. I think it was like more of like a brown nude. But yeah, I love that formulation and I would recommend it. The next product I'm not gonna like harp on because we've already talked about it earlier. It's the Milani Fruit Fetish Lip Oil. This one is cherry lime though. And this is one that, like I said, I use daily in the morning to prep my lips. I absolutely love this product. It's so good. For drugstore, it's kind of expensive. It's an $11 lip oil, which I feel like we need to have a whole discussion about what even is drugstore anymore. And we need to revamp our drugstore categories, because drugstore pricing, in my opinion, is no longer drugstore pricing. But anyways, I digress. Finish this, love this, highly recommend. And yeah, that's all the empties that I have at the time that I am filming this video. Let me know if you enjoyed me tagging those along at the end. And yeah, that is it for my reviews. Hopefully some of these were helpful. If you have any additional questions I didn't answer, feel free to leave them in the comment box below. And don't forget to like this video before you leave. I will add over here somewhere my speed reviews playlist if you want to check out more and you're new here. And yeah, just as always, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to watch my video. I hope that you have an incredible day, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.